Welcome back to story time. I wanted to talk today about dragons, but specifically about, are there dragons in Celtic mythology? I know there are dragons in mythology all over the world, but I couldn't think of the one from any of the Celtic stories that I've read so far. So I started researching, and I found that it says Irish mythology abounds with mysterious serpents and dragons. Most, though, live at the bottom of lakes, guarding palaces or fortresses and things like that. Maybe that's why you don't have a lot of stories about them. But, okay, I found some information about 5 Celtic dragons. So, and I'm going to have a little help from irishmyths.com with the pronunciation of the name. So, the first dragon, the
Allefaist.
is probably the closest thing to a proper dragon in Irish mythology. At least as those of us in the West think of dragons. Because it has an immense size and it's serpentine in appearance. So, the book, that's a W.B. Yeats 1888 book, Fairy and Folk Tales of the Irish Peasantry. He references a lake dragon, and this could have been the Allefaist. I'm not going to try to say that.
The Allefaist.
There is a story about a cattle raid, and it dates back to the 8th century CE. There was a warrior, and he's forced to battle
The Allefaist.
the king and queen of Cognac. Trick him into taking a swim. So he has to battle the beast because the king and queen trick him into taking a swim in a monster-infested lake. So here's where they talk about that most of the dragons in Celtic lore live in the bottom of lakes. So there are more, to me that's a sea monster, not a dragon. But we'll see what happens. So, fearful that Freac might elope with his daughter, steals the gift thumb ring and throws it into the water. Is a gift thumb ring kind of like an engagement ring? Throws it into the water, where it is swallowed by a salmon. Do you remember the story time when it had the salmon of knowledge? We got the salmons again. So, either the salmon's going to have a ring, or it's going to make you wise. Salmon's a good thing. He also commands that Freac fetch some rowan berries that will prolong life and cure illness. As he knows, the berries are near the dwelling of the dragon, which he hopes will devour him. So I'm guessing the king and queen are the parents of the girl this warrior wants to marry. Okay, so long story short, Freac gets his hands on a sword and slays the dragon. But he gets wounded in the venture. Hundreds of fairy women, maidens of the sea, show up and carry him to the Celtic underworld to heal him. Then he makes a triumphant return to the palace. Some people believe that this story was the main inspiration for the Beowulf saga. I'm not seeing a lot of correlation. Just when you thought it was safe to go into the river Shannon, a new monster appears.
The Kata.
Okay, this one has been described as Ireland's own Loch Ness monster. According to the legend, it dwells in the river Shannon, Ireland's longest river, and sightings of this aquatic cryptid have been reported as recently as the 1960s. It is known for having a horse-like head with a mane, gleaming eyes, thick claws, and nails of iron, and a whale's tail. Okay, the first half of it almost again sounds like a kelpie, but this one has a whale's tail. Interesting. And claws, nails of iron. Wouldn't want to come up with that. That would be pretty scary. It could have been named Kata because it's a big old cat. Monster cats in Irish mythology are not without precedence, but I don't think they live in the water. Some dwell in caves and guard the entrance to the underworld. But I digress. So, this creature devoured the Saint Smith, but he rescued him in the nick of time and brought him back alive. The story is recorded in the life of Saint Sinan, which goes on to state that the monster was chained by the saint to the bottom of the lake. Are there any other stories about some of these monsters being chained? Well, maybe we'll get to find out. Its eyes flashing flame and fiery breath spitting venom open in its horrible jaws. That's the first one I've heard about having spitting fire, breathing fire, which is definitely a dragon type thing. But flashing eyes definitely kind of be the monster cat too. But I don't think monster cats breathe fire, so I think it's more of a dragon. Then again, it is connected to a body of water. Okay, so let's go on to the number 3 dragon.
3. The Muirdrish, aka Chinook.
And it's called a water monster. So again, we're connected to water. So sea monster. Or a sea dragon. I guess you could have a sea dragon. But I just don't think of water when I think of dragons. But I guess you could have sea dragons. So this one, a vast dragon serpent, first appears in the 16th century. The Adventure of Fergus MacLetty. The text follows a mythical king of Ulster who, with the help of some magical shoes, this is the first magical shoe story I've heard of, provided by the fairy king, explores the depths of Dundrum Bay in County Down. Does this mean he could walk underwater because of the magical shoes? Like a diving suit. Upon viewing the monster for the first time during his magical scuba session, Fergus's face is left disfigured by the creature's death gaze. The semi-aquatic king surfaces with his life, and with the knowledge that there's only one way to cure his disfigurement. He must return with his sword and magic fairy shoes to slay the dragon. I want some fairy shoes. I want some fairy shoes. I like shoes. Fairy shoes. Wouldn't that be awesome? Okay, and the poet tells the story. For a day and a night, beneath the waves he rested out of sight. But all the Ultonians on the bank who stood saw the luck boil and redden with his blood. When next at sunrise skies grew also red, he rose, and in his hand, the monster's head. Gone was the blemish on his goodly face. Each trait symmetric had resumed its place, and they who saw him marked in all his men, a king's composure, ample and serene. He smiled, he cast his trophy to the bank, said, I survivor Ulsterman, and sank. Does that mean he sank back in the water? That's odd. That wouldn't be too good to you defeat the dragon and then drown because your magic fairy shoes gave out. That would be really bad. Okay. I like that story. I do. I want me some fairy shoes. But I don't think I would take... I don't want fairy shoes to make me walk in the water. I just want some fairy shoes. Because I'm scared of the ocean. There's sharks in it. I don't want to walk in the water. And I don't want flying shoes like that Greek guy had. The one from the Greek mythology who had the little wings on his shoes. Don't want those because I'm scared of heights. Not quite the adventurous old grandma. So, but I would like to have some really cool fairy shoes. I'm sure that's something they could find to do would be interesting and not dangerous. Because I don't want to be fighting no dragons underwater because of my fairy shoes taking me underwater. But let's see what... I digress for sure. Okay, let's move on to number 4.
Elaine Trekent.
A 3-headed dragon. You gotta have a 3-headed dragon. And if you've ever watched the Godzilla movies, got to have the 3-headed dragon. And they also have didn't they have a 5-headed dragon in one of those? Or maybe it was just 3. I might be getting it mixed up with another story. Maybe. Okay, 3-headed dragon, which comes out of the cave of Cruachan? Now, the trio of monster cats mentioned in passing while discussing the Catha's origin lived in the cave of Cruachan, which is well known across Irish storytelling traditions as a portal to the underworld. That would be an interesting place to visit. I would visit that. Let's see. Includes a limestone cave called the... I can't say that. It means Cave of Cats. I would like to go visit. It says it's an archaeological site there, and you can actually visit. So that would be interesting. I want to visit that. So, the reptilian behemoth exploring beneath the earth, unfurling its wings, preparing to wreak havoc on the countryside, its 3 sets of jaws snapping in anticipation. Never mind that the cave beneath the mound is only 5 meters deep. That doesn't matter. If it's a entrance to the underworld, it doesn't matter how big it is. Because it's a magical thing. You know, you're going from dimension to dimension. It doesn't have to be a physical space. Just an opening. So, doesn't matter how deep it is. That's not a problem. Okay. So, some say academics describe this monster as some sort of 3-headed, no, as not a dragon, but as a giant bird monster. I don't think I've ever heard of a 3-headed bird monster. That's a new one. Yeah. A monster, let's see, the Celtic scholar Whitley Stokes described it as a monstrous triple-headed bird. Okay. That I cannot remember any other myths that have a three-headed bird. Snakes, yes. Dragons, yes. Dogs, yes. Guardian to the underworld. But not a bird. Okay. Let's keep going. An enormous, monstrous, three-headed bird that is frequently referenced as having been a blight on Ireland prior to its death. Said to possibly breathe fire, traveling in a swarm with smaller birds, creating a path of destruction wherever they went. Fire-breathing birds. Oh, my goodness. There's a picture on here. I have seen this. It's like something from a heraldry banner or a family crest. It's the spread eagle kind of bird, but it has 3 heads. I think I have seen that. Alright, let's keep going. Let's move on to number 5. Our final dragon.
5. Alain McVichna.
So, the story of Finn Cumhal defeating the fire-breathing otherworld monster in the book Irish Myths in Your Pocket, because it takes place on Samhain. The writer struggles to call this monster a dragon. Apart from the fire-breathing ability, there's nothing dragon about it. Let's see. If images or illustrations are to be believed, he's actually a giant. So a giant that breathes fire. That's not a dragon. No. But I've never heard stories of giants, which I totally believe existed, but none of them breathe fire that I've heard of. So, this one was considered more than a monster. And again, it came from that same, I think from the same cave, the underworld entrance. So it's possible that this latest evolution of the dragon is more intelligent, more human. So, I don't think that's a dragon, though. I expected the last one to be a little better than that. Yeah, I don't think I would call that a dragon. A fire-breathing giant is not a dragon. No, dragons don't have humanoid figures. But that was interesting. Which one did you like the best? I think maybe the best one would be the first one. It's, I guess, the most dragon-like. It sounded more like a dragon. The Olifest. It sounds more dragon. So we'll stick to that, and I'll probably find out more. Should we name our mascot Ollie for being an Olifest? I might do that. What do you think? Call him Ollie. Alright, thank you guys for hanging out with me and letting me be silly. I appreciate the company. Old ladies get lonely. So I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me, and I will see you at the next book club. We are starting the 2nd book in the Iron Druid series on Wednesdays. So come hang out with us again. Okay, see you later. Bye.